Hi Callum. So this is your first reflection interview. So we're going to talk a bit about your context and your pitch. Again, it's just a conversation between me and you. So if you want to pause, you want to think about it, it's completely fine. Okay. So my first question is around the kind of initial inspiration. So can you very briefly kind of explain what your idea is, but then tell us a little bit about what actually inspired that idea?
So the basis of my idea is that, well, I guess I can sort of infuse both. So as a little brief inspiration and sort of the reasoning as to why I ended up going that direction is in all my past projects, I'm so used to using moving image that I wanted to explore a different direction. That is something that I just wanted to do, whether it was a final project, a little mini project, whatnot. I just wanted to do something that incorporated photography. But yeah, my final piece is pretty much just this editorial magazine where I'm planning to cooperatively work with other creative and fashion-based individuals to create something beautiful, hopefully.
And so you said you wanted to do something a bit different from the normal film. Obviously this is very different because you've not used InDesign before, right? Or have you used that in...
I've not used InDesign before.
Okay. And so what made you think magazine?
I guess because it's something that's so like it could just be on a table and you could just pick it up. You're just gonna look at it, and I feel like having a physical thing. I like, physical whatnots and being able to own your own things instead of it being digital. That's like a big thing for me as well. So, yeah, nothing specific about it being a magazine. I just thought, I don't know, I like comic books and I like photography, and those sort of go hand in hand.
Nice. And you said a little bit about the concept. So it's a collaborative magazine. Who are you going to be working with? What kind of things can we expect to see in that magazine?
I'm currently in the loop of finding more fashion designers. I have a couple friends who I've already spoken to about it. I've got an SFX makeup artist, and I've got someone who has a multitude of final pieces that they're willing to, share. I guess at this stage, it's really just down to me, getting a wider reach and trying to find some more people. But that's going to be the majority, yeah.
Good. And was there any sort of research that you conducted prior to the FMP that maybe influenced this at all?
Not particularly.
No essays that you wrote?
Oh yeah. My specialist study was on postmodernism and feminist theories and how they affect contemporary art and fashion and all the photography that surrounds that. And I dove into color theory, which is also connects to my my final piece and my USP, as they call it, unique selling point, where I'm trying to make this, I don't even know, this plethora of color and incorporate it into my magazine's design.
Okay. And so have you started thinking about the kind of design, and is that influenced by anything you saw in that specialist study?
Yeah, I've been looking at a lot of designs on Pinterest because I feel like that's just a place where everyone will just throw stuff on and you could just take immediate inspiration from just looking at something. Yeah, and I'm trying to go for some sort of abstract minimalist approach, and I've been looking at sort of sectioning my different, all the different sections. I want to label them and treat them differently and make them stand apart. So I've been looking at that and contents pages and such.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so is that kind of the focus? So for you, it's not like the written side of it, it's not the content of the articles, it's the photography and then the graphic design. Is that right? Okay, fab. And just kind of going back to that context, obviously you looked at kind of variations within that magazine. Just briefly, what were the other magazines, and then why didn't you go down that route?
So already told you my idea one, which is the one I went with. My second idea was a still photography magazine, so sort of candid photography, which is what I do outside of school and I've been doing since I got my camera. I'm not a big fan of like posing and taking selfies. I like, you know, freezing an image in time. And I was going to create this magazine sort of my past work, my present work, and I guess, I don't know, in conjunction with sort of like street photography. That was my goal. And I didn't go with that originally because I thought it didn't have much of a theme. It was too much just surrounding me, which is, yeah, it would have allowed me to, you know, show off more of my work as an like individual. But I didn't stand out as much as I, you know, would have liked, because it's not that different to what I do outside of college. And my third idea was music related. I wanted to photograph bands and, you know, the upcoming music scene of people my age in bands. And I thought I could have made, you know, a magazine as well, where I documented each of the bands, spoke to the band members and what genres they're in, and I could categorize it and go to lots of gigs and stuff. That was my third idea.
And why did you disregard that one?
I feel like it would have been too much pressure, because you're at a gig with tens and tens, hundreds of people, and you've got to get right to the front and squeeze past all these people to get photos, and then you've got to then talk to the people who might not even stay there after they perform. So it was a lot.
Good. I think it's clear that you've really you had 3 strong ideas. Like they would have all worked, but I think you kind of really thought about which is the most achievable while still demonstrating the most skills, which is really nice. Obviously, we talked a little bit about the kind of the design and the styles that you want to bring in there. Can you sort of talk a little bit about how you're going to make that stand out from other similar magazines? Like, what is going to be kind of different about your magazine?
I guess the main thing, as I said before, would definitely be the colour and the layout. And I want it to be, I don't want it to be a typical magazine. I don't want it to have, you know, bundles of writing. I don't want it to have conventional things like conventional attractiveness, conventional, you know, race and whatnot. I want it to embrace everything with unity. And I want it to be very personalised to the people that are going to be in it. So instead of me depicting what I want people to wear, someone will come to me and be like, hey, I've made this thing, or I've just, you know, I've made an outfit, or I've handcrafted this outfit. I want to display it in your magazine. And then I'll go, that's really cool. You're different, you're interesting to everyone else who's, you know, wanted to participate. So, yeah.
But you said you've got some people in mind that you're going to approach.
Yeah.
Have you started talking to them?
I've started making plans with the people I already know.
Okay.
And I've started making notes on people that I would like to start, you know, communicating with, I guess.
Okay. And again, so we talked a little bit about InDesign. So you've never used that before, right? Any other software that you're thinking you're going to be using as part of this project?
Photoshop.
Okay, and how would you rate your skills on Photoshop at the moment?
I think they're okay. I think I'm aware of skills using other softwares and using things in the past. I just feel like it's a step up in difficulty, so I will have to do, you know, a little bit of research, a couple skills builders, and try and improve my skills in preparation, because, you know, this is photography, these things need to be edited. And I've used Lightroom before.
Okay.
That was my primary source of color grading and little touch-ups, but obviously Photoshop is the big one.
So is that the plan, is the bulk of the content you're going to be making, or like the kind of individual assets, are you going to be making that in Photoshop and bringing it into InDesign, or are you going to be trying to do as much as possible in there?
I've actually thought about this in my head, which is for the main source of color grading, just to get a basis, I could change it later down the line. I want to just throw the photos in Lightroom just to get them how I want them looking, and I want to make mock-ups of all my pages just so I know what I'm doing.
Nice.
So whether it's like a full image with the background included, or it's like a cutout of someone's arms or face or whatnot, if it's like a design crop thing where I have to, you know, cut someone out, then I'm obviously going to throw it in Photoshop and do that beforehand, so that
Perfect.
sticking to the deadline.
Have you had a little play around with InDesign yet?
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching a video yesterday talking about grids and grid theory and how, asymmetry is very important into making it pop and be different.
Good. Make sure that goes in your research page. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think, so obviously we talked a little bit about some of the previous magazines. They were not able to use the most up-to-date InDesign because we had the problems with the Macs. You guys have got the most up-to-date version now. I think you'd actually be surprised how much you can do in there. So it's good that you're starting to look at videos and kind of thinking, what's your workflow going to be? I think that's going to be kind of really key. And then I guess following on from that, thinking about your SWOTs. So obviously we talked a little bit about your skills, and that's kind of a clear sort of potential threat is kind of learning the software there. Was there any other particular threats that you identified during the SWOT analysis that you're kind of aware of, but also any opportunities? Like, what kind of opportunities does this project offer you?
For the project that I'm sticking with?
For this one that you're sticking with, yeah.
Well, definitely for opportunities. The big thing for me is that I get to experience working with other people. It's not just going to be me, which is what everyone else is probably going to be doing as well, who are making moving image. They're going to have to reach out to people to obviously help them film or act or whatnot. So I'm having to talk to people that I've never met before, to see what they're interested in, to see if they want to participate. That's the big thing, is the communal aspect. And I guess, I don't know if this would be an opportunity, but I get to distribute my work physically as well. As I said before, I will have this physical piece of whatnot, and I could give it to people and be like, oh, hey, this is what I've made. Is this, an interesting, aspect or whatnot? Is this something you would like more of? And I guess for threats, the main thing is probably just time. It's going to be quite, compact in the sense that when I meet and talk to these people and arrange and plan dates, I need to stick to them and be very, very disciplined with how I'm treating it, because as soon as I miss my chance, then time is I'm just gonna get crushed into a box. So I need to be very wary of time.
And are there any additional time constraints that you have as a magazine project that maybe the film guys don't?
Yes, actually, which is that due to printing time, I have to finish my project 2 weeks before everyone else.
Yeah.
In time for the exhibition.
I mean, that's like 2 extra weeks that could have been your buffer.
No. But won't stop me.
No, 100%.
Still gonna power through.
Good. The last kind of main section is about the pitch then. So reflecting on the pitch that you just did, how well do you think you communicated your ideas? Do you think the guys kind of really understood the project? And did you get any sort of really useful bits of feedback off the back of that at all?
I didn't get much feedback, not as much as I intended. So I guess I might want to get some more. I might make a set of slides or what would be the word? A questionnaire.
Is there a particular thing you wanted feedback on? You'd like to have a bit of kind of...
I wanted to know if people understood. I'm assuming they did, because otherwise I feel like
you probably would have had a lot of questions.
Yeah. But I just wanted to understand, from a third party perspective, what my project looks like, in the positive ways, and then obviously in the negative ways as well, of what I can improve, whether that be overcomplicating the actual point of the magazine, or adding in too many elements or not adding in enough.
I think that's good. I think it's nice that you've identified that there are these kind of areas you're not sure about. Remember, it doesn't all have to be a big kind of formal pitch. You can literally ask your peers anyway. They're all in the class, but Insta polls and all those kind of quick feedback. We can do Google Forms to anything like that. Don't be afraid to kind of get and kind of try and document some feedback on those. I think for a magazine in particular, audience is so key. Who would you define as your audience for the magazine?
Well, I would say it as like a, what would it be, psychographic? I would say creatives, definitely creatives. And I guess the sort of like age demographic that I'm going for is sort of my age onwards.
You have an entire room of your target audience there.
Exactly.
Particularly on Fridays, you've got the first years with you as well.
Mm.
You know, I think take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And going back to the first part, like, do you feel like you presented that quite well? Are you quite happy with the way that you delivered that?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say for some major like points that I wanted to delve into with a lot of detail, I did get a little bit sidetracked, or my brain went a little bit blank, so I didn't get the full extent of information out. But I heard one of my peers actually talking to a teacher about how well they thought that I performed.
Good. What were the points you didn't get to explore?
I think I wanted to go more into detail with like what it looks like in my head. I wanted to like explain exactly how this demo of what I'm hoping to make it look like, down to the finest details. And I feel like I got that across to a certain point, but I feel like I could have said more.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's funny, because I thought you had some really nice examples in there, and I felt like I kind of came away from that really having a clear vision of what it is you want it to look like. Obviously, I knew we'd already spoken about the kind of the collaborators and the people you were going to include, but actually the style, I don't think I had pictured was going to be quite so graphic. Graphic's the wrong word, but just
abstract.
Yeah, just visually so interesting, and I think that's quite exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, really, my final question is, you've done your context, you've explored your idea, you've done your pitch, and you presented that really, really nicely. Obviously now you've done your proposal as well. So I think you've got a really kind of clear idea of the project. What do you see being the most important development points now? What are kind of the key areas that you're going to be going ahead and researching and kind of exploring to really hone that idea and get ready for production?
I've actually started making notes on the things that I want to do skills builders on, which are the things that I think need, key points of key things to develop, which are lighting.
Cool.
Which I already last skills builder last Friday. I sort of delved into everything, like just into like the shallow end. I didn't go too deep into everything, but I just got a clear idea of what things were and what to research about each of them. But my key things would be lighting, so configurations, which ones do which where. So that's fill lighting, key lighting, backlight.
Nice.
Changing their positions, changing the backdrop, whether I'm using the green screen or this black screen behind me or the grey one, or filming outside of school, seeing what I would do with that and bringing a lighting rig. Lenses. I want to test all the lenses and see, what is the essential. Obviously, I might use a plethora of lenses throughout the magazine for different photos, what I'm going for. But I want to test them and see, how they differ, because it's like, on paper, obviously it would seem like they are different, but I want to see it visually so that I can understand and employ that into my work. And the other major thing, I also want to get used to using the software, so InDesign, Photoshop, and I guess I could see what else Lightroom has to offer. I think those are the main things. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. I think that's the kind of key focus for you, to get out of it what you want. That's the point. It's you can't do everything in that magazine, because most magazines have entire teams working on them. So I think for you, it's really kind of keeping that in mind and not getting too tangled up in the areas that you don't necessarily care about is the wrong word, but you know, the written side of things, like the actual written articles, that's not where you want to go in the future. You don't want to be a kind of journalist in that angle.
Yeah, that's not my expertise.
Yeah. And I think we look at ways that we can use, like, I've talked to Amira a bit about, you know, using AI and think about how you can use your prompts, like you really dictate your prompts and explore, but, you know, cut the corners where you can. So it means you can really focus on the stuff you want to show off, which is the photography and the graphics. Yeah, it's going to be a good project. It's exciting.
I hope so.
Is there any last things that you think we haven't covered, or anything, any part of that context process that really stands out as kind of informing your project? Or do you think we've kind of covered everything?
Yeah, I would say we've covered the majority. I'm not thinking of any smaller details. And if we have missed something, then I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, fab. All right, well done. Brilliant, thank you.